Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this Sunday Sangha. I'm going to front load this just a little bit by saying this is going to be a very different practice than we've been practicing over the last few weeks. I want to just invite the opportunity for you to feel like you can hold space for yourself. And this is something that is not easy to do. And I say that because when it comes to holding space, we have to get out of our own way. This is like having that conversation with someone and you can't help but put yourself into the conversation all the time, rather than just letting that person be there and you absorbing what they're saying and you just being able to get out of your way and not letting the big I, the ego get in the way, your identity, your personality to get in the way. This is a very difficult thing to do, because we absorb everything from our own point of view, right? So you're like, well, how else am I supposed to absorb this? If I'm just supposed to hear somebody tell me a story, aren't I supposed to just jump right in and tell my story then too? And what we end up having is a sort of an I conversation. Well, I went to the grocery store. Well, I went to the gym. Well, then after that, I walked my dog. Well, then I did this. And we just kind of ping pong back and forth. And there's all these I things going on. And then you really don't hold space for that other person because you're just jumping in with your I. And this is a technique, if you will, a skill, where if we hold space for someone else, we're really there absorbing, feeling, sensing, and letting them know that we're hearing them and allowing them to feel like everything that they're saying is settling in to you. And then the way you respond is not with your sense of identity, but with something bigger than who you are, who you think you are. You respond with a bigger sense of self. And what's so odd about this is that we don't know what that is necessarily. Don't know how to identify with that. So kind of the big loving part of you, the part that feels kind of all encompassing, all beautiful, all kind of, everything's kind of easy peasy, right? Lemon squeezy. That's the side of you that can respond without you getting in the way of your own judgment or kind of coloring around what's happening. And I say this in relationship to two people, because when we hold space for ourselves, it's the same thing. So today's practice is going to be around how do you hold space for yourself. And the self that we're holding space for is not the small self, but the big self. It's the soul self. And it's kind of mind-boggling to think that, well, how can I do that if I've never even know that side of myself? Because what I'm asked to identify with, or the role I play in the outer world, is I must, deal with my small self, my ego self, my identity, my personality, my opinion matters, right? And therefore we lead with that. And so what I'm asking, well, what the practice of yoga, what our most beautiful self is asking us to do, is to kind of reside more deeply into this big self space that allows us to respond to the world in a much more abundant way, where tensions dissolve, right? Anxieties dissolve, stress dissolves, and we just don't know that part of ourself as well anymore because we've identified with something that's bigger, right? Let me read you a poem that might help this conversation just a little bit and then we'll just jump right into the practice itself. But this is why it's not exactly, simple dimple, right? We can't just grab onto this like a piece of fruit and just eat it, because it's not something that we work with on a regular basis. So the founder of Kripalu, his name is Amrit, and he wrote this sort of credo, if you will, and it's very short. And it says this: I have no plan for my life. I accept the plan life has for me. Those two sentences actually say quite a bit. We could probably think about those for a while. I have no plan for my life. I accept the plan life has for me. I follow that plan and what it provides me moment to moment. I am not the roles I play in following the plan. I am not the roles I play when following the plan. I am the witness of all that I interact with in my life. I am the witness of all that I interact with in my life. I was a child, an adult, and I soon will be an old man. I was a son, a brother, a husband, a father, and a grandfather. I was an artist, a businessman, a yogi, a guru, a friend. I have been healthy, sick, successful, a failure, awake, asleep. Behind all those changing experiences, I am the changeless consciousness that is constantly present. I am that I am, in spite of the changes that I am experiencing. That's a mouthful. I am that I am, in spite of the changes that I am experiencing. My present is pregnant with all my past. My future unfolds from the way I live my present. My being manifests in the present. I am present. I am at home in the eternal now, living the plan life has for me. So that's the spirit of our meditation today. And so if you feel at all a little frustrated or discomfort, or it just feels like foreign, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's just different territory. But you want to invite this part of yourself in, right? Because if you do, then think about the potential you have to respond differently to life, to COVID, to Black Lives Matter, to whatever is going on personally in your life. Think about your response and how it will change when you really hold space for yourself, the big self, the big S. Okay, so with that, let's find a comfortable seat, everybody. So holding space, thinking about this idea, closing your eyes, finding a seat that's super comfortable for you today. Holding space, think about it in the sense of not getting in the way, not getting in your own way as you find your spine tall. And now, in order to find this space and hold it for a while, we just need to be comfortable first, right? So do whatever you need to do now to adjust your body so it really feels like there's comfort. And by the way, that's a beautiful way to begin holding space for yourself every moment you have in your day, just to be comfortable. And the yoga tradition says steady and stable in your seat. And now that you feel steady and stable, and there's a sense of ease in your body, it's helpful to feel how the breath is communicating with you. So we're not manipulating the breath, we're with its natural flow. I'd like you to just hold space for your breathing. So all of your energy and attention is on your breathing. Just feeling the quality of your breath. And the only way you can really see your breath more completely is by noticing the light of awareness that's watching the breath. So light the flame of awareness, light the consciousness that awareness exists as you're watching your breath. So you're resolving a sense of busy mind by simply doing this. Distracted mind, letting go of the thoughts. In a way, you're starting to feel a neutrality to this moment. Just feeling the in and the out breath. In a way, the breath is helping distance yourself from your self, small self, with the light of awareness very bright as you watch the breath. So you're aware of this feeling. It's very clear to you, the feeling of breathing, but you're not in the way of that feeling because the feeling just is. It's neutral, and you're watching this neutrality, a passive observer. In a sense, this easefulness is reminding you that you are not the doer. Now hold space for both your body and your breath at the same time. So feel the fullness of your light, of your awareness around the body and the feeling of breathing. You're just a neutral observer to the feeling of body and breath at once. And in fact, you are more the observer than you are the body and the breath. You're more the curious watcher. There's ease in your breath, there's ease in your body. And the gaze is that you watch from is easeful as well. And now notice that your breath is so soft that there is a bit of a space between the breaths. It just depends on your experience, but there is a transition between breaths, and it's can be many moments. Now hold space for that between the breaths. The light of awareness is lit, it's bright, neutral gaze on the space between the breaths. Notice how distant you feel from personality, identity, ego, thoughts. Notice how bright this other feeling is. This neutral gaze on body and breath. And the more you relax, the more you feel the space between the breaths. And the more you feel that space, the more you enter into awareness of consciousness itself. Consciousness is a formless, timeless space. And you can feel your soul residing in that space. The soul is the unchanging side of yourself. Please bring your awareness to the center of your chest, deep within the chest cavity, and see a 6-inch flame, or feel a 6-inch flame. Let your neutral observer, your witness, watch this 6-inch flame, or feel the space there. Hold space. Nothing to reach for, nothing to accomplish, nothing to be, no role to play. Just watch the flame. Please begin to deepen your breath. Bring your hands into prayer. Bow the head down humbly towards the prayer if you wish. May you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize that you are never alone, that your soul in its brightness and belonging connects you intimately with the rhythms of the universe. May you have respect for your individuality and difference. May you realize that the shape of your soul is unique and that you have a special destiny here, that behind the facade of your life, there is something beautiful and eternal happening. May you learn to see yourself with the same delight, pride, and expectation with which God sees you in every moment. When you're ready, slowly return back to the outer world. Let your inner and outer worlds meet. So thank you. I'm going to unmute everybody. In case you want to share, I do love hearing thoughts and energy around practice, but if, this is not a requirement of any kind, it's just if an inspiration comes up, you want to say something. But I wanted to create this space for you today to share with you that you can do this so effortlessly on your own. You can hold this kind of space for yourself. I didn't want to produce a complicated pranayama practice. I didn't want to have a many multi-stepped practice meditation for you today. I wanted to keep it simple so that you could do this in a way that you're like, that's not hard for me to do, just to hold space for myself in this way. And in that way, you can just invite this when you're ready and when you need it, to cultivate this lens of consciousness. So anybody have any thoughts to share? Anybody to want to offer anything?
Sure, I'll share.
Yes. Hey, Ralph.
Hello. I felt calm. I felt really, really, really calm. And I don't think I was sleeping. So I think it was something different that I hadn't felt before. That's it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Jolene.
Hi. Just to also kind of add to what Ralph was saying, I felt a very deep calm as well. And what struck me from the inner flame was the ease. Well, let me just start by saying I kind of had a reflection on the personality part. I've had moments in my life where the personality at the forefront of my life feels very not at ease, but a lot of effort, and perhaps even sometimes a lot of defensives come up, especially living in the city. And the ease that came through the practice and then landing or arriving and settling into the inner flame was such a strong power for me to feel within myself that it dissolved the effort and kind of softened the shells of defenses for me. And it was just a really lovely way to drop into that sensation, into that understanding of myself. So thank you for that. That was beautiful.
And if I may just add, Jolene, it's really just what is consciousness is actually guiding you towards that space. It's you just pointing your mind and energy that allows you for consciousness to give you the intelligence it needs to say, there, right there, hold that.
Joe, I had
That's
this was
Linda.
a wonderful practice for me. I recently, while I was on a walk, discovered a lovely little spot that I can sit on a rock and near a stream and listen to the water. And this practice today took me there. And I know now that when I do get stressed and get out of balance, in my mind, if I close my eyes and just, I can be there. I don't have to physically go out and walk to that spot. It's in my head. And the idea that I can just take myself there to calm down, because the water is very soothing to me. The sound of the water, I mean, I recreated that in my head, and it's lovely. I know it's a tool that I'll use in the future to know that I can calm myself.
Yeah.
By listening to that moment in nature that I've discovered recently.
You would, oh, sorry.
No, it's lovely.
The Tao Te Ching would be a wonderful companion for you, Linda. The Tao is all about nature and connecting, and there's lots of lessons around water. So nature's our big friend.
Yeah, water is very soothing to me.
Yeah, good for you. The Tao Te Ching, good resource.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share?
Excuse me, for me.
Yes, Melissa.
And thank you, Joe. That was wonderful. It creates a tangible spot deep inside of me that I can go to in times of stress or just to get a little extra peace. So that was good. Thank you. It's a flame that's visible, and I can actually kind of blast it out the top of my head. So that was good. So
go for it. That's great. I love it. Anyone else have feelings or emotions or?
I would like to share.
Yes, Jamie.
And my experience was very different from all of yours. I had many moments of that calm, and I had many moments of that place of peace. What I recognized was an inner battle going on. I mean, I had a major hot flash in the middle of it, so much that I really felt like just getting out of my chair and running and ripping my clothes off. And then I also noticed that my flame was not in the center of my body. It was on my left side. And I kept noticing that it was over on the left, and it began to distract me. So I was kind of wanting to bring it back over into the center of my being. And then when I let go of needing to control that flame, I think it settled in. So, and it was a great practice, absolutely. Even the Joe bringing us into it and sharing with us about the relationship that we have with ourselves, small and large selves. And the poem, I hope you'll share that with us, because it was so beautifully written and truly is something that I would like to reflect on again.
Yeah.
And I'll keep allowing myself and giving myself permission to practice this. And I know and trust, that's the best part, that the calm and the peace will expand, and the resistance and the resistance, I think is what it was, will start to diminish the more I practice. Thank you.
You're welcome, Janie. And you're a good example of holding space no matter what is happening. That hot flash experience is challenging, and still you held space for yourself, and just, I'm sure whatever discomfort you were feeling, there was this resistance, and so you stayed neutral perhaps more, and it maybe the neutrality helped a little bit, but somehow you were able to move through that, which is powerful. And I know these happen on a reoccurring basis, but even in meditation it can be a little frustrating. So that's a helpful experience for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so last calls. Anybody else want to share? I am very delighted to hear the energy of this Sangha and how it's growing in its own way, and in intelligence, not necessarily size, but just intelligence. And the reflections show that there's a desire, a deep desire to want to know. And just continue to remind yourself this, the simplicity of practice is actually more powerful. I get caught up in the complicated sometimes. And if we just remind ourselves that just simply sitting, allowing our body to settle, allowing the breath to settle, finding the space between your breath, and then allowing that consciousness that you are actually connecting with to awaken, you can direct that anywhere you want to. And then today it was just the light of the heart, the flame of the heart, and you're able to rest there. And for that period of time that you rest there is enough to resonate in the outer world. So your inner and outer worlds are having a great conversation. And what I say, they're a tango dance of your inner and outer world. And please enjoy that tango dance today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for your inner world. It's starving for your attention. I'll be back here next Sunday. If you want to donate $10 to this event, then please do so at paypal.me/Samodhi. I will give the poem to Dina, and however else, or email me, joe@2020yoga.com, and I'll give you the poem if you want the poem that way. But somehow, some way, you'll get the poem. Thank you, Dina, for holding space for us, continuing to share this energy.
Love being with all of you. It's very special every Sunday morning.
Yes. Thank you for continuing to support the energy of this group. And I'll see you all next Sunday, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Peace, everyone.
You too.
Big fat
Happy Father's
namaste.
Day.
Happy Father's Day. Have a good
Happy
weekend.
Father's
Happy
Day.
Father's Day, everyone.
Yes, you too.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
You too.